All right, chapters 12 through 14 is what we are reading today. Chapter 12. What's your problem, Albert? Light from the hallway pours into my room as my mom opens the door. Hey, honey. Hey. I came in to check on you. You seem very quiet at dinner tonight. Something going on? Mean kids at school. Oh, Allie Bug, I'm sorry you had to put up with that. What happened? Well, the kids were mean. Yeah? I was kind of one of them. Oh, she says with a sigh. I'm surprised by that, Allie. Tell me what happened. Those girls that came into Peterson's that time? Well, they asked me to have lunch with them. I sat at their table, but then they started being mean to this kid named Albert about his clothes. I look up into her eyes, and I went along with it. I feel bad about it. My mom brushes her forehead with her fingertips. You're not a little girl anymore, Allie, so it's not too soon to decide what kind of person you want to be. Of course, I know what kind of person you are, and I love you for it. She kisses me on the forehead. You made a mistake. Everyone does. Just do your best to make it right, and that's all. The words I'm sorry are pretty powerful ones. Yeah, okay, I'll make it right with him. That's my girl, she says, kissing my forehead one more time before leaving. The next morning at school, I'm wondering how I can make things right with Albert. I'm drawing a pigeon wedding in my sketchbook. I don't know that Keisha is standing behind me. You drew that? I move my arm to cover it quick. Why would you cover it? If I could draw like that, I'd put a commercial on TV about it. Thanks, I mumble. I don't know why I'm embarrassed, but I am. Keisha sits in her chair as I stare at her head full of thin braids, thinking it must take 3 days to do all that. So beautiful. I just love it. Not like my boring hair that just hangs there. I reach out to touch her hair. She turns toward me all of a sudden. What are you doing? Oh, sorry, there was a mosquito. Sometimes I can't believe the things I do. It's like my arm has my own brain. Keisha says. Just then, Albert walks in, and he looks upset. I want to be able to tell my mom that I made things right with him, so I go over. Albert, are you okay? I ask, wondering if he'll tell me to strap myself to a rocket and light the fuse. I have a problem. I'm sorry about the cafeteria thing, I blurt out. His eyebrows rise. That didn't bother me. No need to apologize. It didn't bother you at all to have a table full of people make fun of you? You're kidding. Why would I be kidding? Can it be that he really doesn't care what people think about him? We just stare at each other. If that didn't bother him at all, and this new problem really does, then it must be really bad. Maybe it has to do with the bruises he has all the time. Can I help? I ask. No offense, but I don't really think so. Okay, I mumble. It's just a problem that I can't get out of my head. I feel like I won't be able to relax until I find an answer. Do you want to talk about it? I know sometimes when I have a problem, I talk it out with my brother or my mom. Even if I don't find an answer, I always feel better anyway. Well, I wait. I've just been wondering, if an insect is flying inside a moving train car, is it traveling faster than the train itself? And if the insect flies in the opposite direction that the train is moving in, is it then traveling more slowly than the train? Obviously, if the fly is on the wall, it is moving at the same speed, as long as it isn't walking. But the movement within movement is a puzzle to me. Oh. He turns to me a little intense. You can see the problem here. He doesn't ask, he tells. I know he doesn't really think I can help. Who knows if I could possibly figure out the science part of what he's talking about. But my mind shows me that insect in that train car. It's a dragonfly with a brilliant greenish blue wings and tiny goggles over its eyes. The car is old with dark wood walls and dark green curtains, like from Grandpa's Westerns. And the people have old-fashioned clothes. I see them like they're with me now. Some of the men are sleeping. One is waving the dragonfly off with a newspaper, not even noticing its tiny goggles. Ladies with the most beautiful dresses sit there too. And I see a girl who is with her mother, and her mother keeps asking the girl if she is enjoying the ride, and the girl keeps saying yes, being sure to have a happy-sounding voice. I don't know everything about that girl, but I do know that she has a lot more to worry about than an insect on a train. She doesn't fit in. She's all dressed up in fancy clothes and has to pretend to be someone she's not. She wants to muck around, help build fences. She wants to ride a horse the real way, not side saddle like her mother insists. When I come back from my mind movie, Albert has already walked away, but I don't care. I can't help thinking about the girl on the train and how she feels, like she wants to do so much, but she's held back. And it makes her feel heavy and angry, like she's dragging a concrete block around all the time. I'd like to help her break free from that. Chapter 13, Trouble with Flowers. It's the night of the holiday concert when we sing about Santa and dreidels and Kwanzaa. The best part is getting a new dress. I stand in front of a mirror looking at my dress and my first shoes with a heel on them, thinking about the shopping day I had with my mom. We even went to A.C. Peterson's for lunch. I like how she stayed with me in a booth instead of having to go wait on other people. I love to sing, but I don't like our music teacher, Mrs. Muldoon. Max calls her Minefield Muldoon because you can never tell when she'll blow up over something. Oliver calls her that too, but he acts it out by leaping into the air and yelling, Muldoon, as he lands on the floor and rolls. He doesn't stop, though. He goes from a roll right to his feet again, like a cat in a cartoon. Shay is making fun of Albert because his clothes don't fit. With the pants? Or what's with the pants, Albert? She says, did you get that outfit in the 3rd grade? Keisha whips around fast. Why do you always try to pull people down? She asks. Because some people deserve it, that's why, Shay answers. Deserve to be pulled down? Really? Keisha asks. Albert straightens his tie, which is the only part of his outfit that fits. He's even wearing his sneakers with the backs cut out. You know, he says logically, if a person wants to pull another down, it would mean that he or she is already below that other person. Keisha lets out a laugh so loud that Mrs. Muldoon shoots her a look. Keisha covers her mouth and tries to squelch the sound. That is perfect, Albert. Man, you really are a smart dude. She turns to Shay. You, on the other hand, are so low, you could play tennis against a curb. Shay's eyebrows narrow. But before she can say anything, Mrs. Muldoon appears and tells us to line up. For the spring concert last year, before I had a growth spurt, I had to stand in the front row. I liked when Travis called me a dime among pennies. But this year, I get to stand toward the back of the line with the taller kids, right next to Keisha. I look over at her. I love how she stuck up for Albert. She had the guts that I didn't in the cafeteria. I wish I could be braver. We all stand waiting to file into the auditorium. Oh, Mrs. Muldoon, I love your dress, Shay says. Mrs. Muldoon lights up like a bulb. Why, thank you, Shay. Your parents have raised such a nice young lady. Oh, thank you very much, Mrs. Muldoon. Shay smiles, but when she turns toward Jessica, she rolls her eyes, and she keeps glaring at Keisha. I decide I won't think about how mad she makes me, and I'll think instead about how all the girls get to carry a bouquet of flowers. That's the good news. The bad news is that they have been donated by Jessica's father, the florist. It's nice of him, but Jessica hasn't stopped bragging about it. Mrs. Muldoon walks down the line, handing out the most beautiful bouquets I've ever seen, like the ones that brides carry. Dark red ribbons that wind around the stems like a barbershop light pole. Ribbons dangle from the bottom, too. She hands my bunch to me, and I smile, thinking of how much my mom will love to see me with them. Keisha leans in to smell them and runs her fingers over the tops of the flowers. Then, one of the white buds falls off and bounces off the top of her shiny black shoe. Mrs. Muldoon is there in a second. What do you think you're doing? Mrs. Muldoon grabs the flowers from Keisha's hands. Keisha looks up. No, please don't. I didn't mean. These flowers are a gift, and if that's how you're going to treat a gift, with a complete lack of respect and gratitude, then you, Keisha Almond, will be the only girl without flowers. But Mrs. Muldoon, Keisha says, I really didn't. Mrs. Muldoon holds up her hand like she's stopping traffic. I don't want to hear it. You will have no flowers, and perhaps you will remember in the future how a lady behaves. See, Shay says to Jessica, people do get what they deserve. I stand behind Keisha, but I wish I could see her face. I wait for her to say something back, but Keisha doesn't say anything. Although I can't see her cry, I hear her sniff and see her brush her cheek with her fingertips. And I watch a mind movie of me being the only girl without flowers, marching in to see all the parents, and the look on my mom's face, how she'd be the only sad parent in a sea of smiling ones, and how I'd feel I was less than everyone else. No one should ever feel like that. I feel my fingertips dig into the center of my bouquet to separate the thick stems. It takes some twisting to work half the flowers out of the fancy ribbon, but I put some muscle into it. Stems crack and leaves and petals fall spinning in the air, landing all around my shiny shoes. Mrs. Muldoon has turned around to stare. Her mouth is wide open, enough for a bird to build a nest in. I hold her gaze as I hand half the flowers to Keisha. Well, she can have some of mine then. In the end, neither of us had flowers when we walked into the auditorium, but we had bigger smiles than everyone else. Chapter 14, Boxed In and Boxed Out. Okay, my Fantasticos, as you know, today is Fantastical Friday, and we are going to end our day with a challenge. I'm going to break you into groups. Each group will be given a shoebox wrapped in elastic bands, which you will not remove, with a mystery object inside. Your job is to guess what the mystery object is. You can do anything to the box to figure out except open it. There are 4 numbered boxes that will rotate from group to group. You have 10 minutes with each box, so be sure that you write down your guesses. At the end, we'll open them up to see what each box is. He claps once loudly. Any questions? Everyone looks excited. Most glance around the room, probably hoping they will be with Albert. He'll get every answer right. But I end up in a group with Max, Suki, Oliver, and Jessica. I briefly consider going to the nurse, especially when I have to stare at all of Jessica's friendship bracelets. I wonder if each bracelet is from a different friend. I glance down at my empty wrist. Box number 1 is dropped on our table. Oliver grabs it and shakes it hard. Jessica folds her arms and rolls her eyes. Her response to anything not done or said by Shay. I look across the room. Shay is in a group with Albert. She's holding the box and talking. What a surprise. Yeah, Max says, taking the box from Oliver. My turn. I'm surprised when Suki speaks up first. Oliver, we all need a turn, so we must plan. 10 minutes and 5 of us, 2 minutes each. I think about the nurse again. I could lie on that comfortable bed and think. I've come up with some of my best sketchbook ideas pretending to be sick down there. Max has been shaking the box. He throws it into the air once and catches it. Whatever's inside is heavy, he says. Oliver says, maybe it's a kangaroo. Jessica looks at him in disgust. Oliver shrinks. I was just kidding, he mumbles. This makes me so mad. Max hands it to Jessica, who gives it a little shake and says, I think it's a wooden block, like maybe one of those alphabet blocks. When will it be my turn again? Oliver asks. Suki is taking some kind of notes or something. Looking up the clock, she says, Oliver, you have 25 seconds of your time left only. Oliver takes the box back and sniffs it and tries to hear something by pressing his ear to the top. Mr. Daniels calls from the other side of the room. I love that, Oliver. Creative investigation. While I wait for my turn, I wonder why Oliver always smells like graham crackers. Finally, I get the box and put it up to my ear and tilt it. Whatever's inside rolls rather than slides. It must be round, and Max is right about it being heavy. I tilt it again with my palm on the side of the box. I think it's a baseball, I say, handing it to Jessica. She does the same test and surprises me by saying, I agree, feels like a baseball. Wait, I say, taking it back. I tilt it again quickly, and the object hits the end hard and then lightly. It bounces, I say. Would a baseball bounce? I ask, turning to Max. Nah, I don't think so, mate. Maybe it's rubber, like a lacrosse ball. After Suki tests the box, she writes down our answer. Then we get to the second box. The second item slides rather than rolls. I can tell because it doesn't move if the box is tilted a little, but once tilted more, will move all at once. And I could feel it scraping along the bottom. It's weird, but I can almost see it. It's heavier than an alphabet block, but I think it's in the shape, or it is a shape with all flat sides. Oliver tells me that it's cool I'm so good at this. I forget to say thank you because I'm shocked. But then I also forget to be nervous, talking to everyone and feeling like I can do this as well as everyone else. And it's the best feeling ever. Suki hands the box to me. Your turn to go first. The third box is harder, but I guess it's in the shape of a magic marker, but much bigger and heavier, as it slides one way and rolls the other. I glance over at Albert, who is listening to Shay talk again. Keisha is doing the talking in her group, but she's making everyone laugh. I wish I knew what they were saying. When Mr. Daniels delivers the fourth box, he stays. While Max tries to figure out what's inside, Jessica constantly compliments him on everything short of breathing. Max tells us that he thinks it's something light because it doesn't hit the sides hard. When it is his turn, Oliver looks up at Mr. Daniels. So, what do you think there, Oliver? I can see Oliver wants to be right. He tilts and shakes and decides it's a quarter. Mr. Daniels nods and pats him on the back. That's an excellent guess, Oliver. Well done. Am I right? Oliver asks. You'll have to wait and see, Mr. Daniels shrugs. Can you just tell me now? Sorry, bud. Oliver seems disappointed. Then he looks up at me. Holding out the box, he says, Here, Allie, you're the best at this. Jessica's face looks like if she let out all of that pressure, she'd fly into the air like a rocket to the moon. Allie, Mr. Daniels asks. Huh? Sorry, sometimes when I think, I forget to talk. He laughs a little. I hold the box in front of me with the long side almost touching my stomach. I tilt the box front to back and then side to side. This doesn't make sense. What are you thinking, Allie? He asks. Well, if I tilt it front to back, the object hits the long sides of the box, but if I tilt it side to side, the object doesn't hit the short sides. In my mind, I see the object must be the size and shape of a magic wand, because it moves a lot when tilted in one direction, but not when tilted in the other. What? Oliver asks. It doesn't make any sense, I say. I look down at the box and shake it side to side hard. I can't get the object to hit the sides of the box. The more I shake side to side, the more it hits the top and bottom of the box. Confusing. I look up at Mr. Daniels and his half smile and his scrunched eyebrows. Wait a second, I smile. Would you trick us? What do you mean, trick you? I shake it again, tilt it some more. The object hits some sides, but not all sides. Did you tape it or tie it to something? His eyes widen quick, and he smiles, and then he laughs. He laughs loud, bending over and resting his hands on his knees, and then he swings his head to the side to look over at me. By this time, the whole class is watching him. Wow, Allie Nickerson, that's amazing. I have done this with over 100 kids, and no one in all of those times has ever been able to figure that out. He reaches over and takes the box. Taking the elastic bands off, he opens the box to show us all what's inside. It's 2 glue sticks tied together with string. And then the ends of the strings are taped to the sides of the box, leaving the glue sticks hanging in the middle. He comes over and does something a teacher has never done even once in my whole life. He high-fives me. All right, so we're going to stop there, but what you are going to need is your packet for Fish in a Tree. We are going to do the next page in this packet. It's called a real-life comparison. So you're going to cut it out all the way around the outside, whether you want to cut on the solid line or if you want to cut on the dotted lines, but keep them as one image. You may do that. And we're going to rip it out. And then your title up at the top is going to be Character Comparison. So I'll show you on here. Okay, so I'm going to hold up the title. If you want to pause this while you write it, you are more than welcome to. Okay, so then I'm going to cut this all the way around the outside, and then I'm going to glue the whole thing down on the back, and this is going to be your assignment for this chapter. So you will see that down toward the bottom, or in the middle of the page, there is a Venn diagram. So they talk about Venn diagrams in this book at the beginning, which is kind of funny. But we are going to be using a Venn diagram to compare one character from the book that you are choosing and one person you know in real life, or maybe from another book or a TV show. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you know in real life, that you are going to compare them to each other. What they are, or what they have in common, what made you remind them of the other, what they maybe don't have in common. Okay, so it says, compare a character from your book to someone you know in real life. So you're going to choose the character from the book and you're going to write the character's name on the top line here. And then down below, just put a couple ideas of maybe what is specific to that character. Don't necessarily need to write them in sentences, but let's just write some phrases. Let's say you're choosing, trying to think. Let's just use Allie, okay? No, don't use these same examples. If I were to choose Allie, I would write Allie's name here, and then I would write different things that make her unique as a character. Different things about her, maybe things you've learned about her that you could describe her as, and then choose a person that you know that is similar to them, but could also be separate from them. So you're going to choose the person you know, whether it's another book character, a friend of yours, a cousin, a sibling, another person in real life, someone from a TV show that you watch, and you're going to write that person's name or character's name on the top line here, and then give some information about them that is only specific to them. And then in the middle, write a couple things that makes them similar to each other. So why did these two people remind you of each other? What would you put in here that makes them similar to each other? So this is your assignment for these set of chapters. I will be checking this on your in-person day, whether you are in person today or the next time that you are in person, and then we'll be grading these. Thank you.